It's like I can touch you!
Wow. You know, this DualSense controller is actually pretty great. Yeah, I mean, it's much more responsive, and it actually makes me feel like I'm in the game.
Well fought, their gate is in ruins. Soldiers, capture the town square in the name of glory.
So yeah, DualSense controller, it's fantastic. I can't say that enough, as you're probably going to see in a video I have planned for next month talking about the PlayStation 5. But this thing is just one bit of technology released by Sony that I feel helped move gaming forward for the better. Sure, they don't experiment as much as Nintendo.
Who asked for this?
But Sony has been at the forefront of the gaming industry for the last 20 plus years, and in that time, they've released what I consider some fantastic pieces of tech specifically geared towards us gamers. They introduced the DualShock controller with the PlayStation 1, which helped make twin-stick controllers standard for 3D gaming, along with the fantastic Ape Escape to help showcase its potential. The PlayStation 2 had a built-in DVD player, which in turn helped to bring in nearly every home on Earth, and helped to expand the capabilities of disc-based gaming. The PlayStation 3's Blu-ray player was an innovation that helped store far more memory onto discs, but came at the cost of the system faltering out of the gate due to the price they needed to sell it for. And then there was the PSP, bringing high-quality handheld gaming to the forefront of the industry, and even the PlayStation Vita, which existed. But if you ask me, one of the biggest innovations that Sony has brought to gaming is this: the PlayStation Virtual Reality Headset, or PSVR for short. Essentially Sony's answer to the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, the PSVR headset first released in 2016 as an add-on to the PlayStation 4, allowing owners of the console the chance to experience a more budget-friendly option in regard to virtual reality that didn't really require them to test the waters of the tech at Dave & Buster's or the lobby of a local movie theater. With its sleek design, competitive price point, and wide variety of games, I personally feel that this is a fantastic entry point for anyone interested in VR gaming. Like most VR headsets, the PlayStation VR headset features multiple adjustment points to fit onto most people's heads, allowing you to feel comfortable while wearing it, even if you're like me and forced with the burden of glasses. You can adjust how close the twin screens inside the headset are to your eyes, you can change how tight it clings to your head, and more. So unless you were born with a Megamind-sized cranium, you should find it fits well after some adjustments. But that's just how you wear the thing. How do you play with it? Well, that really more depends on what game you're playing. Some games have you using your head as the controller, moving your head to avoid obstacles or smack directly into them. Other games have you using a standard PlayStation 4 controller, with some even going so far as implementing the controller itself into the game to interact with objects in said game world. And even more utilize the Move controllers themselves, those thick light-up lollipops that Sony made from their failed attempt at motion control games for the PlayStation 3, a topic that I would love to dive into one of these days, but we'll see about that. But the most important thing of all with a VR headset like this, what games are you going to be playing on this headset? Because what else are you really going to do with it? Discreetly watch something that you shouldn't be showing on YouTube?
Madam, that is not a seat. That is my face!
For those looking to jump into VR without having to put too much money down on games outside of what you may get bundled with your headset, the PlayStation Store includes several tech demos, scenic environments, and playable advertisements that can be downloaded absolutely free. Things like demos for several full-length VR titles, virtual renderings of vacation spots, interactive and playable games to promote both SpiderMan MCU films, and more can all be downloaded absolutely free of charge. And all you need is a $300 attachment to your $400 console to play them. Beyond the several free products that are available for download, most bundles for the system nowadays come with a few games, as well as a copy of PlayStation VR Worlds, a glorified tech demo of sorts that showcases the many functions of the headset with 5 playable games. First off, there's Danger Ball, the most over-the-top and batshit way of playing Pong I think I've ever seen that I spent way longer playing than I probably should have for this video. VR Luge, which sticks you on a slab of wood and sends you careening down dangerous and hazard-filled roadways, even though you're just in your living room tilting your head side to side trying not to give yourself whiplash. Scavenger's Odyssey makes you jump from floating platforms and asteroids to fight alien beetles and challenges you to keep your lunch down with how much movement there is. And finally, there's Ocean's Descent, which drops you under the ocean and lets you almost get eaten by sharks. And now here we are, 5 years to the day after this headset was first released. Bruh. So I thought it would be as good a time as any to finally sit down and talk about a peripheral that I have greatly enjoyed having for the past few years. I can't really think of any game better suited to start this discussion about PlayStation VR than with the game that introduced me to the technology. No, it's not Riggs Mechanized Combat League. It's not Drive Club VR or 100-Foot Robot Golf, despite the latter's inclusion of the McElroy brothers. No, I may own all of these games, and they were 3 of the first games to come out for this headset. But none of them are the games that I played that utilize the technology. No, we'll be starting things off today with...
Or dressing up like a cat?
That. Cat Lateral Damage is a game where you play as a cat that looks more like a dented, burnt potato, running around various locations and knocking items off of shelves. You can get bonus points and have special events happen, like jumping into a box, but otherwise it's just you being an annoying twat of a cat. Cat Lateral Damage also features a VR mode, hence why I'm talking about it here today. But for whatever reason, it only records with this weird camera angle rather than your view from the headset like every other game I've played for VR. So I'm just going to talk about it very briefly here and use gameplay from me using a regular controller setup. Cat Lateral Damage is nothing all that special of a game, since all you really do is run around and knock stuff off of shelves. But this game holds a special place in my heart as the first PSVR game I ever played. It was the first game my friend Chris, seen here looking criminally underdressed for the apocalypse, had me try when he was showing me his headset, and it was just this game that made me say I needed a VR headset for myself after I tried it. And that was exactly what I said to him immediately after I broke the glass on his ceiling lamp while playing this. If being a destructive bastard with someone else's property doesn't make you feel like a cat, I don't know what possibly could. As I mentioned, this one is only here because it's the first ever game that I played for the headset, so while I'm able to admit that it's a very shallow and simple game that I wish allowed me to record from my perspective in the VR headset because it's a lot more fun, it still holds a special place in my heart as introducing me to the technology and helping to guide me into a world full of great experiences. But maybe being a cat isn't your thing. Would you rather go 1 letter grade higher and turn from a cat into a bat? Batman Arkham VR is a standalone VR experience developed by Rocksteady Studios, who are best known for creating the Batman Arkham franchise, and was made as its own little standalone story set between 2011's Batman Arkham City and 2015's Batman Arkham Knight. You are put into the shoes, cowl, underpants, nipple guards, and utility belt of Batman himself, and the game has you traveling around Gotham investigating the mysterious disappearances of Robin and Nightwing. But when you're not off looking for the dull wonder and not so thick Grayson here, you get to interact with classic villains from the franchise, play around with some of Batman's more famous gadgets, or at least some of the ones from around the Arkham games, and you get to do the thing Batman's most well known for: dance. The big draw for Arkham VR is playing around with Batman's gadgets, solving relatively simple murder mystery puzzles, and standing around the Batcave looking at Nightwing's pancake butt. Oh, and throwing batarangs. But here's the problem. There's not much else really going on here. You have a few brief story scenarios, you can smack Penguin in his ugly face all you like and have absolutely no effect on him, and then by the time you get to the relatively well set up ending, you realize you've been playing for a little over half an hour, and all you really have left are Batarang themed shooting galleries, some audio logs inside the Batcave, and Riddler things to find, which is basically just replay the game and find smaller, dumber ways to do things. It's an experience more than it is a game, but one that could have cost you more than $30 when it came out. Nowadays, Batman Arkham VR goes on sale pretty regularly, but if I had picked this one up at $30, I would not have been happy with my purchase. especially when Sony themselves have released the two aforementioned free-to-download SpiderMan VR games that were made to help promote Homecoming and Far From Home. Granted, these Spider-Man experiences are far shorter and can do with a bit of polish, but when given the option to stand and throw auto-targeting batarangs around the Batcave, or to look at models of the characters for an hour, over swinging around a low-poly rendering of New York, I'll choose the latter and just make sure I have Pepto-Bismol handy to help settle my upset stomach. But Batman isn't the only iconic character for Fortnite to get their own PSVR game. Iron Man, Lara Croft, LeBron James, and more have all graced the sleekness that is the PlayStation VR. So how about we dive a little bit deeper into that world of licensed depravity for a bit with Rick and Morty Virtual Rick-Ality. It's pretty much what you would expect from a Rick and Morty VR game. A VR game where you play as a Morty clone tasked with the all-important task of doing Rick's laundry. What follows is a whole lot of whimsy and sci-fi nonsense, including hatching an alien egg and befriending the baby before mercilessly gutting it, playing a virtual reality knockoff of Roy where everything is cardboard and there's only one guy poorly doing all the voices, and mercilessly shooting down government agents tasked with protecting wildlife and combating poachers. It's a wonderful little Rick and Morty flavored playground, and any game that lets me make a mess for no reason is always fun in my book. At its core, Rick and Morty VR only lets you move around a few very confined spaces similar to Batman VR, but the key difference here is how much of the environment can be interacted with. In Batman, you're mainly restricted to the many tables and instruments that the game lets you play with, along with a small smattering of items to give you the illusion of freedom. But in Rick and Morty, just about everything can be picked up, played with, tossed around, and more. Interactivity is key to not only this game's playstyle, but its inherent charm and ease of play, making it a perfect starting point for just about anyone new to VR. Just, if you're a fan of Rick and Morty. It's one big collection of mini games that you can just mess around with if you want, but there's a typical Rick and Morty story tying it all together if you want to have a little bit of extra fun. Everything I've said about Rick and Morty also applies to Alchemy Labs' other two big PlayStation VR titles, Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator. But those two games feature much more directed humor, more gameplay variety and minigames to partake in, and less reminders that Pickle Rick is a thing and that McDonald's once made a racist sauce. In Job Simulator, you're thrust into a few different average Joe type jobs under the pretense of bad historical documentation. Every character you interact with is a floating computer monitor with a face, who gives you simple instructions and tasks to perform, with dialogue reminiscent of times when Futurama makes jokes about the past. You'll do basic office work, work at a convenience store register, prepare food in a kitchen, and work on vehicles in an auto shop. All that's missing is the existential dread of dealing with the daily grind of retail and commercial positions, the pressures of constantly feeling overworked and underpaid, and the looming threat that if you make even the slightest mistake, they can fire you and replace you in an instant. But it's all okay because you get PTO! Time to go on vacation! Vacation Simulator follows the same initial premise as Job Simulator of misinformed robots trying to recreate human activities, but instead of doing mindless tasks for a job you'll probably hate, it's you spending time on vacation at one of 3 resorts. Doing mindless tasks for a job you probably hate. Spend your time grilling at the beach, chill out atop a snowy mountain, or go camping out in the woods where no one will find the bodies. All 3 of these games are fun little interactive ways of showcasing just a taste of what VR is capable of, offering bite-sized little vignettes with plenty of humor and stuff to interact with. And even better, they each also offer free play modes once you're done with everything that the story has to offer, so you can just go into the levels and have fun. But not everyone wants silly, whimsical fun with their gaming. Some of us want action, gunfights, British accents. Wait, what? Remember how earlier I mentioned there were actually 5 games in PlayStation VR Worlds, but only talked about 4? Yeah, you probably thought I was just bad at counting, didn't you? I mean, you're right. The last game in this collection is the London Heist, a short story-focused first-person shooter that plays like a Cockney gangster movie where you are hired for a diamond heist with the help of one guy who looks and sounds like a thumb, and the other who could probably use a bath just based on his face. The London Heist only takes about an hour or so to complete, but it's some of the most fun I've had while playing these various tech demos. And my second favorite game on offer from PlayStation VR Worlds, behind Danger Ball. But unlike Danger Ball, which mainly just has you replaying the same game over and over, once you're done with the London Heist, you can continue playing through this spectacular game with some improvements thanks to Blood and Truth, the expanded and in many ways better follow-up to the London Heist. Blood and Truth builds off of the already impressive showcase that was the London Heist, slipping players into the shoes of Ryan Marks as he's interrogated by an agent named Carson. During the interrogation, there are several flashback sequences detailing the various goings-on of the Marks family, and how they effectively started a gang war after Ryan's father dies and London crime boss Tony Sharp appears to muscle his way into their business. It's your typical sort of story that you get to stand around and watch a lot of. But where the London Heist had you firmly planted in singular locations for the majority of its runtime, with barely any cover to speak of, Blood and Truth lets players move around the environments and take cover, allowing for much more variety towards exploration. It's still a linear game by nature, but now you can choose whether you're on the left side or the right side of the hall when you get gunned down. Rather than free roaming around, however, the player can choose to move to specified points in each area, and the game automatically moves you forward. It can be a bit disorienting at first, so just have some Pepto-Bismol handy for when your stomach gets a bit tossed. Wow, that was two Pepto-Bismol references in a single... I didn't even mean to do that. When all is said and done, Blood and Truth is a pretty fun game that has you standing around a bunch during cutscenes, but once you get into the action, it feels genuinely invigorating to play. If anything, the only thing I can't get behind is the fact that this is supposed to be taking place in London. Everyone knows that British people don't have guns unless they live far out in the country. Hot Fuzz told me that.
You do know there are more guns in the country than there are in the city.
Everybody and their mums is packing round there.
But you want to know where there are more guns per square foot than there are people? That's right, baby, the good old US of A. And what better way to encapsulate what makes this country great than by sitting down to play a video game and having everything require the use of guns? And I do mean everything. This is the American Dream, a VR title where you're placed in a Disney darkroom ride style cart and sent down a track through the life of the average American patriot where every action you partake in involves a gun. Being fed as a baby, mama's packing heat. Playing catch in the backyard with dear old dad, show him those Annie Oakley skills.
Hear about the baseball player without children? He couldn't get to home base. I'll explain that one when you're older.
Want to impress the girl next door? Grab your little handgun, get your favorite rifle out of the closet, yeah, you know the one I mean, and show her your accuracy like you're nestled up nice and snug inside a book depository.
Taylor.
The American Dream is a wonderful little dissection of the average American life as told by an Australian development team through the visage of a Republican shooting gallery ripped straight out of a Norman Rockwell painting. A lot of the story bits and satire are laugh-out-loud funny.
Let me clear the table for you. In Italy, we use our hands. However, this is America!
The guns handle surprisingly well even when you're using them to do mundane activities, and the overall game experience is just in general fun to play. Even little things like the bullets ricocheting all over the place can offer a bit of extra fun, and since everyone you interact with is cardboard, it's okay to just spray and pray. Whether you're blasting the side of a sedan with a machine gun to clear away the dirt, sharpshooting burger patties to get them cooked just right, or taking part in a literal shotgun wedding, the American Dream is sure to delight you with its tongue-in-cheek humor and over-the-top presentation. Alright, enough British people, enough cardboard cutouts, enough facsimiles of understanding what a shooter is. I want action. I want something that'll actually make me feel like a badass for once. And hey, maybe something with a weird and convoluted sort of gameplay mechanic. I don't know.
Well, you're in luck. Just jack this into your head and we'll get this party started.
Don't you mean in the headset, not my head?
No, you dumbass. I said into your head. Don't make me repeat myself, you weak little bitch.
Well, all right.
Super hot.
In case the name isn't a dead giveaway, Super Hot VR is a VR version of the immensely popular first-person puzzle shooter game, where time only moves at a normal speed when you do. When you're not moving, everything is in slow motion, giving you time to assess the situation and plan your strategy and how you're going to take out the many polygonal enemies rushing slowly towards you in true action movie fashion. But Super Hot VR proposes an interesting challenge for that proposed gameplay. If every time you move, the game does, and the very nature of VR sees you basically moving all the time, does that mean you need to be catatonic to play this? Thankfully, no. You can turn your head and make slight little twitches as you play, so only when you make drastic movements like lifting your arms, taking a step, or bending over and scratching yourself where the sun don't shine, the game returns you to the normal flow of time where you can then perform incredibly stylized attacks. And with the added level of challenge to the game, there's multiple modes that give you even more content. You can speed run through it, you can do no death runs, you can do all sorts of different things, allowing you to have even more fun in this vibrant sandbox. So yeah, there's some great games available on PSVR, all of them from a variety of different genres and playstyles. But before I close out this video, I'd like to talk briefly about my two personal favorite PSVR titles, Beat Saber and Astrobot Rescue Mission. I've mentioned Beat Saber a few times on this channel already, and thankfully the game is very simple to talk about because there's not really a whole lot going on. Beat Saber is a rhythm game where you, the player, are standing in a neon void listening to EDM, and as you're just enjoying the sultry tones of Jason Mendoza's brain, boxes come flying at you. Probably filled with some of those pesky thoughts that Jason loves to avoid. Using a pair of electronic sabers that are likely made out of light but are therefore legally distinct, it's up to you to slice the boxes in the direction pictured on said box, because nobody likes squares and they just gots to go. And that's about it. The game offers a lot of songs. There's several music packs from a variety of bands like Green Day, Imagine Dragons, and Panic at the Disco. Each difficulty level ramps things up significantly to give you a challenge without introducing a bunch of boxes and weird, randomly bullshit mechanics, unlike some games. But ultimately, that's about all there is. You slash boxes with lightsabers until you either stop for the day or collapse on the floor from exhaustion. What more do I need to say about it? Now, as for Astrobot Rescue Mission, I feel like that one requires at least a bit more explaining. Astrobot Rescue Mission is the second major title that stars the adorable little Sony bots after the PlayStation augmented reality game called The Playroom, with Rescue Mission acting as a foundation for the PlayStation 5 pack entitled Astro's Playroom. Team Asobi have crafted some of the most polished and inventive titles that work as tie-ins for Sony peripherals, and Astrobot Rescue Mission is the game that was released to showcase the true potential of the PSVR and is my favorite game on the PlayStation VR. Astrobot Rescue Mission is a bit different from most VR games, where instead of the game being played from a first-person perspective, players control Astro as you help him traverse 3D platforming levels with your headset acting as the game's camera. You move along a track alongside Astro, so all you need to worry about is moving your head left, right, up, and down to see where you are and what platforms might be accessible. And to top it all off, you have the controller being tracked by the 6-axis and represented in-game, giving you access to a variety of power-ups and gadgets that can be used to help Astro move through the levels. The levels themselves fall under a variety of themes, ranging from standard beach and underwater levels to caves, volcanoes, jungles, and more. And each one is filled to the brim with fun little details, making for a gorgeous experience overall. This is helped in part thanks to the interactivity you have within these levels. Other than just having Astro open pathways for himself, you can use the controller and even your own head at times to take out enemies or open pathways, offering more engagement within the game and acting with Astro in a more symbiotic manner. Beyond just traversing the levels though, there's specialty challenges that you can unlock by finding a chameleon hidden in each level, offering time trial courses, combat challenges, and more when you find them. There's also a gacha game-like system within the satellite where you spend coins to pick up and open orbs that have prizes inside, each one containing a small 3D rotatable vignette from the various levels. But more than just that, each one is sorted into various categories based on the theme they are a part of. And as you unlock each, they're placed into a chest according to their theme that can then be opened inside of the satellite, giving you a whole other area to explore based on the various themes entirely for fun. In summation, Astrobot Rescue Mission is absolutely my favorite PSVR title for its fun gameplay, engaging mechanics, and just overall cute aesthetic. And thanks to this and Astro's Playroom, I really hope that Team Asobi have been given the proper resources needed to continue delivering fantastic experiences with little Astro here, and I can't wait to see what they have up their sleeve next. And that is the PlayStation VR. All in all, I think it's a fantastic little headset. Even if the quality of the graphics can be a little lacking at times, especially when compared to Vive, Oculus, or several other VR headsets on the market. But overall, I think it works well for what it needs to do. There's a few problems that I have with it, most notably that the little balls on the remotes lose tracking if it loses sight of the camera, so turning around is basically not possible. But aside from that, it's a great first step in what is essentially consumer-friendly and budget-mindful VR gaming. And even now, 5 years out, it's still got a fantastic library of games, all of which play great on the PlayStation system because it's designed for it, and in general, it's just a lot of fun to have. This is just a small smattering of games for the system that I own. I've bought over 70 different games that either were designed specifically for VR, or that have an additional VR mode since I got it. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see me talk more about PSVR titles, I'd be more than happy to. Leave a comment down below about what games you see on this list here that you would love to see me talk about, and maybe once the new headset releases, I'll be able to get that and do a video talking about that. And hey, Sony, if by some miracle you happen to be watching this video, why not send me a PSVR 2 headset to do a review about? I mean, I don't really know why you would, but I would certainly be appreciative of that and would be more than happy to make a video about it. Call me. Anyway, that's gonna just about do it for this video. Pretty sure I burned my retinas just trying to get all the footage I needed for this one. So, thank you all for watching. I'm going to take a small break from looking at screens. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and do all that other fun YouTubey stuff down below. Follow me on Twitter if you don't already, where I post the occasional poll and silly stuff like this. And I will see all of you in the next video. Now, if you'll excuse me. Oh, Harris. Harris, you want to help me talk about VR? Huh? Oh, you want to help me talk about VR? Yeah? Well, let's see if we can get this on your head. Come on.
Oh gosh.
Let's see. He's in another world. What'd you think? You liked it?